Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It is Marvin speaking. I just want to go through some tabloid newspapers which were talking about the Jay Slater case and how it was blown up by them as well. This was on the 3rd of July 2024, and this was by the Daily Mail. And the exclusive revealed British man 31 who Jay Slater visited the Airbnb before vanishing is a convicted rugs dealer, and he insists missing team came to the house alive and left the house alive. And just the title itself, it sort of makes you think, oh my God, what's happened to this boy? What is my viewpoint? How can I need to look into this a little bit more, who this guy was. And so obviously, we had a lot of questions for these two when we've delved into Rocky's background and many of the others, Ayub's as well, and many of the others that were involved with Jay's disappearance. But the way the tabloids have blown this case wide open, and then it's the YouTubers, the TikTok gets the blame, is absolutely unbelievable. Because, like I said, we go from what national news says at the end of the day, because I know some of them do sort of bend the rules a little bit, but like I said, generally they would have got this information from close sources who's looked into this case. But it's absolutely bizarre that everything that we were sort of invested in, don't forget, it took us a couple of weeks before we knew who Ayub was, due to Mark Williams Thomas. But the abuse, I think the sleuths have got by the accident crew and many of the others as well. I think it's bang up voting. Yes, people say some bizarre things, but you can't really blame them with what the tabloid actually come out with and how they portray it through their messages through the news. Let's move on. So we move on to part two, and this is by The Mirror. Jay Slater's criminal past explained as family hit back at criticism. Jay Slater was alleged involved in a criminal gang of 8 people which carried out violent machete attacks against a man in Lancashire in 2021. And then it goes through what happened and the whole process. So it's going to get people thinking, could this be a revenge attack? And obviously the young man, Tom Hilton, had come out and said, look, people should stop talking about Jay Slater. And he's nothing to do with what happened to Jay Slater. And yet there's some evidence that he was there, but it can't be proven. There are pictures of him supposedly in that nightclub as well. But like I said, it's unproven. And it's unproven was actually he involved in Jay's disappearance out in Tenerife. That's unproven as well. But the thing is as well, the way these news articles come across, it makes you look deeper into them to thinking, oh my God, is there a link to what happened later on in this case? Because there was an article that Jay was out in a pub with his dad, and Tom Hilton, I think it was Tom Hilton's dad, was out as well. And it said that Jay was laughing at Tom and what happened to him in a situation. Whether it's basically true or not, these articles will always keep coming out, and it puts people in a position where they've got to make a decision into thinking, what the hell's happening on you? This is not as clean cut as what we first thought. We hear from Mariana talking Rocky's live stream, Justice for Rocky, and state Ayub is not his friend. Let's get straight into this. So we're actually thinking, who was this other guy that was at the Airbnb? I don't think it was Rocky. I think, yeah, he must have been in Ayub's car some other times, and videos were made and photos were taken. But like I said, I'm going with Mark on this one in the chat, that I think that it was Johnny Vegas that was with Ayub. Let's get straight into this.
TikTokers, I hope you're well and I hope your day is going as great as you. It's a cold one today, so I've got my coat on. But we're going to talk about it. Who remembers the 2 characters involved in this Jay Slater case? You got Rocky and you got Ayub. Now, there's something I want to touch base on and to just bring to your attention to see what you guys think and what you guys feel. Rocky did a live stream, and on his live stream it said justice for Rocky. Why? Why does he deserve justice? Has he been brought into this whole circle of bullshit and got involved for no reason? Or is it a case that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time? Someone on this live stream said to Rocky, "Where's your mate Ayub?" And Rocky made a very bold statement to advise, "He's not my mate." It's really peculiar because at the start of this Jay Slater case, they did quite a few live streams together. Is Rocky a victim too? I don't think anyone's going to know. But let's not forget the ex-mayor, Roman, fled Spain, fled Tenerife this week as the mainland police arrived. Let's not also forget the 17th of June, all the CCTV footage was removed. Now, someone quite powerful and someone quite high up must have jurisdiction on that, on who can and can't remove the footage. There's so many questions, but why did Rocky's live stream say justice for Rocky?
Great points there from Mariana. We're not even sure whether Rocky was at the Airbnb. What we know about Roman, that he's an ex-disgraced mayor for doing dodgy business. And like I said, when things come on top, he got out of the country when the mainland police actually come in. So we're looking to this case that this was an accident. But when you actually look at the people involved who were actually coming out, don't forget, we didn't ask Rocky and Ayub to come out and make videos. They were putting them out there for their satisfaction and to get clicks and likes, and said to us in the early days, "Oh, we'll answer all your questions if you sign up to different things," especially the youngsters, to keep them on board for that. For us, it was a serious case. For them, it was a laugh. So for us not to question the friends, the people, the accident crew, there's something seriously wrong in why basically these people were allowed, to get away with absolute murder, and then have the cheek to sort of blame us and say, "Look, we're the ones to blame for chatting rubbish." That never ever made sense to me. This guy is, recently put a video out, a couple of weeks ago, saying he's back at the Airbnb. What's he gloating for? Obviously, whether he was there or not, he's basically, pulling out some kind of message or gloating or taking the piss, I think, out of something at the end of the day, because he knew this case was done and dusted and nobody could prove anything. So basically, he's basically saying, yes, if I want to go back, whether he was there or not, or whether it was last year, he can pull whatever he wants, because one, he's not a suspect, even though he had a summons to attend the coroner's course. He don't give a shit. That's as simple as like that. So that's him saying, I can do what the hell I want. And like I said, this was actually put in the news for views, so that actually the news are still promoting Rocky, even if he's doing something bad.
I think there is nothing left to talk about concerning the Jay Slater case. Rocky goes and releases a video of himself booked into the Airbnb in Masca, where Jay last stayed. Very strange actions. Please let me know what you think in the comments.
So he returns, and that was all over the news, and they put that out there that Debbie's really, really sort of pissed off with him, and then that people should ask questions. So sometimes we're actually in two minds. What if we got to ask the questions when we've been asking them 24/7 and not getting and hardly gotten the answers? But my point is that there has to be a balance of the news for the sleuths, for the people involved, because in some ways the news, the people involved, they're all playing the same game. They're allowed to talk about it, but us sleuths who try to be honest and transparent are not. And yet we're getting articles that are still coming out, still talking about the case, and we're not allowed to really mention it. That never made sense to me. Move on to a video. Was Lucy using Jay Slater's bank account to launder dirty money? So Wax and Filter, do go and subscribe to him, and also Little Miss Vodka is also brilliant on this case. It's just my thoughts. So we're sitting back and during this was an accident from the very start. But we've got people, eyewitnesses, and people that said they met Lucy in a club. And yet, this was never talked about by the police, or information was given to the police, and it was never discussed or ever brought up again. What the hell is going on? It just doesn't make sense to me. And they wonder why people are still talking about this case, are thinking, what the hell's happening?
Let's check this out, ladies and gentlemen.
Jay Slater case. Does anyone remember when those two women came forward saying that they were sold substances at, I think it was the festival, by Lucy? But the details that they sent the money to matched those of Jay Slater. I've just found an old video. This is the old video coming up. I'm about to play it. But why didn't anyone ever investigate that?
It's so true. Why didn't anyone investigate this? She's got proof that the details she has are Jay Slater's. All it takes is to look at Jay Slater's bank statements and voila, you will see transactions going to Jay. And now this gives me a whole different perception of what Jay was there for and why Jay was there, especially with other things that Miss Little Vodka says about her conversations with Brad, with what Rachel said about Jay having Brad's bank cards. If what we're about to go into is true, it's starting to look like Jay and potentially Brad were there to launder money, cleaning the money, getting the drug money back to the UK through their bank accounts.
And the two...
And is it one of the reasons why Debbie's so angry with Lucy and Brandon? It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? That they said, look, we'll look after him, we'll take care of him. And they knew it was technically Jay's first holiday abroad without his family.
Two girls said that Lucy was on her own and she preferred to be transferred money rather than paid cash for the substances.
This is a device that I think that everybody should have at least one of them in their house.
And obviously I did my own little investigation back then, and all the details matched to a name, Jay Slater. The details the two girls came forward with did match someone called Jay Slater.
Exactly. How is that possible? She's going to prove it now. Don't go anywhere. She's going to prove it. She's not just saying it. But how is that possible? Because when you transfer someone money, you have to put the name in. And if it's the wrong name, even by one letter, it will tell you that that account doesn't belong to that name. But in this case, the account belonged to Jay Slater, and it was a Santander bank.
Banks these days, the name, it tells you if the name matches. Anyway, here's the video. So everything I say in this video is not factual. It's a theory, it's opinions, nothing is factual in this video. I received a few images from somebody alleging that Lucy was allegedly using Jay Slater's bank account details. She allegedly sold them something and was asked to pay through online transfer rather than money, cash in hand. These are the screenshots that I received. So this person has alleged that they tried posting it on the group and it got removed. They put, if I were to send you money via online banking, I'm not going to, by the way.
So it was posted in the Jay Slater group, but it was removed. And that's the group that was run by Rachel.
You can't do it without entering their name along with the account number and sort code. If you enter an incorrect name, it still won't work, right? I was sent this by someone. They were in the club Friday the 15th into Saturday the 16th at 12:30 a.m. They got a pill off Lucy. They don't remember seeing Jay. One pill was £25. Anyway, Lucy didn't want cash. She asked them to transfer the money to an account. Why? And it was to Jay's account. Why? That's a bit weird, ain't it?
It's not weird when you think about it. I mean, Lucy at that time was being accused of being a drug mule, someone that was transporting drugs from maybe one country to the next. Maybe she wasn't the actual drug mule, and maybe there was someone else that was being a drug mule. I'm not saying that was Jay Slater, but what I am saying is Jay was definitely a mule. He was the money mule.
That's it, people. But like I said, my point in playing this video is like, there's enough information for people to think there's more to this than what's going on, and it's proven. Little Miss Vodka had done her homework. That was Jay's bank account. What the hell was happening there? And these are things that are not spoken about. And this is why one of the reasons Duncan And Wax was so peed off because everything he talked about and trying to basically talk with Ayub in the early days, but it would make no sense, is a cover-up, because they cover up of what they really do and what they don't want you to find out. And it's allowed to go on because it brings a lot of money into a system of things, and they know people like Roman in high positions. That's why there's so many questions and unanswered questions. The proof is out there, but I don't think really the police really give it a toss at the end of the day, because it sounds like to me that the Guardia Civil knew what was going on, but they didn't want to promote all of what's going on out there, and they didn't really want to make this big. So when this case started getting bigger and bigger, they all started panicking. And the more they started panicking, the more they started changing their stories. So it made it look like it was an accident. So my point is when we hear these things from people who were at the club that were actually talking with Lucy, what the hell are we supposed to think? Didn't we have the mindset or the audacity to question it? Because there's more to this case than meets the eye. And I'm just pissed off with people coming up and saying the other side, oh, it's over now. But what about the people who could be the next Jay Slater or the next vulnerable person that actually goes to Tenerife and they come across these people who were selling rugs and still out there that were involved in the Jay Slater case, and the same thing goes on? This is a conveyor belt, and it should be, put up very, very high so people understand what's going on. And, I'm sure someone sent it into the police and probably never heard anything back. But it's absolutely bizarre to me. And these are the points we look at, reading the news, reading articles that were at the club. Ali Harris talking to 3 people, and one of them saw Jay fell in the club and wasn't looking good and realised dodgy things were happening. This is why we're talking about this case, to keep some of our youngsters out of trouble and alive. Let me know what you think, people. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment. Interesting stuff. Thank you.